Back before I was even a twinkle in my father's eye, he served in the U.S. Army during the Korean conflict. As such, he hated rice, so much so that it was forbidden in the house. He probably would spin in his grave to know how much rice I consume nearly every day since I moved to the Philippines. Today, class, we are going to learn some surprising things about rice, and toward the end, I will tell you about a rice-based dessert that sounds so disgusting that it might ruin my Christmas this year. Class is in session. Hardly a day goes by that I don't hear some Filipinos say the phrase, "rice is life." It really is. If not for rice, I would probably be 25 pounds lighter. Wait, that wouldn't be such a bad thing. However, the omnipresence of rice has given me some new cultural and culinary experiences. Did you know that there are 8 different words for rice in the Tagalog language alone? And there is a separate word for cooking rice as opposed to general cooking. There are 2 names for uncooked rice that you see in stores: bigas or palay. There are 300 different varieties of rice in the Philippines, and you don't have to wander far away from the city to find lush green or newly flooded rice fields and a number of workers tending them. The rice is propagated from seed, then transplanted 2 weeks later to a flooded field, whose soil has likely been tilled by a carabao, the national animal of the Philippines. After 4 months, these plants have flowered, the grain color has turned into a yellow gold, and it has ripened for harvesting. It's often cut with a sickle, and the rice is separated from the grass either by machine thresher or by striking it. The collected grain is then dried for about 3 days. It is not unusual to see tarps spread out on the sides of the road with the yellow grain drying in the sun. Then the husks must be separated from the grain either by machine milling or by mortar and pestle. Once bagged and brought to the market, these 300 varieties of rice give rise to many different dishes. And there are at least 8 names for that cooked rice in its various forms. We have lugao, a rice porridge with onions, garlic, and ginger. Tutong, which is burned rice that frustrates a Filipino cook when she has to scrape it out of the bottom of the rice cooker or the pot. Bahaw is a term for leftover rice. Sinangag is fried rice. Buhoghog is loose, not sticky rice. Malata is rice cooked with too much water, making it mushy and largely unacceptable. Malagkit is sticky rice. And finally, which is rice water derived from its rinsing. Although it is most often thrown away these days, was once used as substitute for breast milk in the poor rural areas. Not only does rice have many different names, but to cook rice has its own word to differentiate it from general cooking. Naglaluto is to cook, but magsaing is to cook rice specifically. At every meal, I'm asked if I want rice, and I almost always reply, "Konti lang." If you remember my previous video, that means just a little. Rice is cheap, even though the demand in the Philippines is so high that a significant amount of it is actually imported from Vietnam. A 10 kilo, that's 22-pound bag of rice can be purchased at the local store for 400 pesos. That is less than $8 USD and could feed me for about a year if need be. But I have never developed a significant taste for rice and will keep it relegated to the role of just filler. Every day I put konti lang of rice on my plate and spread it out as the bed upon which the good stuff is placed. That covers the main course, but there is much more. Kakanin is the word for a class of rice desserts, usually made from glutinous rice, coconut milk, and sugar. Those desserts include bibingka, biko, and puto. Please don't confuse the Tagalog word puto with a Spanish word, which I will not explain in this video. You can look that up after class. Puto, the dessert, is made with rice flour that is then steamed. It can be flavored with cheese or ube, a purple-colored sweet yam. In fact, when I get Neapolitan ice cream, it is usually vanilla, chocolate, and ube. Biko is a sticky rice dessert, topped off with a caramel-like mixture of coconut and sugar called latik. Bibingka is a traditional rice cake made of rice flour, coconut milk, and sugar baked in a clay pot, topped with grated coconut and, get this, salted egg. I was hanging in there until it came to the salted egg. I've tasted salted eggs. They are good, but very salty to be on any dessert that will pass through these lips. Bibingka is usually served at Christmas time. Hey, who's that Grinch that put salted egg on my bibingka? There you have the story of rice in the Philippines. If you have a favorite rice dish, share it in the comments section below. And while you're at it, check out this video you may find interesting. I'll be back in a few days with something else to get you thinking. Class is dismissed. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, comment, and above all, subscribe. Thank you.